top 10 former WWE stars currently in AEW?
Hey, stay connected. Follow Pro Wrestling Bits.
AEW has been busy acquiring talent, many of whom used to work for rival WWE. Whether or not there are too many familiar faces in AEW is a whole nother conversation I'll cover in the very near future, but for now, let's take a look at which former WWE superstars have had the best transition. The idea that AEW is overrun with former WWE superstars is actually kind of overrated. Of the 63 active male wrestlers currently on AEW's roster, only 14 of them made their names in WWE. That's only over just 20%. Although, to be fair, many of those names do dominate AEW television, including AEW World Heavyweight Champion Jon Moxley. 4 former WWE stars didn't make the list for varying reasons. For Zack Ryder or Matt Cardona, it's way too early to tell because he just debuted this week. For Shawn Spears, he was buried 6 feet deep at Double or Nothing and has barely been seen since. For Billy Gunn, he's more of a player coach who isn't a focal point of any week-to-week storylines on AEW television, and as underrated as Trent is one half of a tag team that has never won a tag team title anywhere it's been, the competition was just too stiff to squeeze him in. Shout out to Trent. So that leaves us with 10, and based on a criteria of how they're booked, win-loss record, and impact on ratings, we're gonna start with Dustin Rhodes, who has had a career renaissance in AEW. Rhodes came out hot in AEW as his first match at the promotion's inaugural event has already become one of the most famous wrestling matches in history. 5 stars from Dave Meltzer, whatever that means, and universal acclaim of being one of the most emotionally fulfilling wrestling matches of the modern era. And after a series of solid performances, Dustin has taken more of an ancillary role of late, cornering the Nightmare Sisters and giving back to the business the way a veteran should. Number 9 is Matt Hardy. The bloom has been off the rose for the Broken Universe for quite some time now. Some could argue the gimmick lost steam before Hardy even left Impact Wrestling. Hardy's debut, while sabotaged by the pandemic, was treated like a big deal, but then he debuted a different character every week, like a more schizophrenic David Bowie, and now I don't even know who he is anymore. But the all-time creative force of nature seems to be cooking up a timely reinvention. If AEW, and more specifically TNT, let Matt Hardy really spread his wings with this seemingly politically driven Matt Hardy Saves the World character, it could be one of the more edgy and talked about gimmicks in all of pro wrestling. But this gimmick has just as good a chance of backfiring if it gets too weird. Flanked by a top stable, Jake Hager has been exactly what he should have been in WWE. A badass shooter who is not to be trifled with. That's it. That's the tweet. Jake Hager's limitations on the mic may always be a sticking point, but there's a whole lot of managerial potential in his wife, Catalina, who has shined in the limited roles she's had. I'd love to see more of Catalina as Jake Hager's heel manager on AEW TV, but I'm being told she isn't old enough. Number 7 and 6 are Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood. In that order, FTR are being used to perfection in a slow build to a tag team match with the Young Bucks, years in the making, and one that may be considered a disappointment if it's anything shy of the greatest tag team match of all time. Kind of like the Young Bucks' last tag team match on pay-per-view. Brody Lee rounds out the top 5. I've really been blown away by his stage presence and how he's been able to carry himself as a top main event caliber heel from the jump. But this Dark Order thing is quickly turning into a comedy gimmick. None of these guys ever win, and poor Brody will lose credibility the more it veers that way. Mr. Brody's budding alliance with Colt Cabana could be a saving grace, as they could form a top tag team in a promotion where that actually means something. Number 4 is Pac. Even though he's been off TV for months due to the pandemic, number 4 is Pac. That's how good he is. People forget, before the onset of COVID-19, Pac was lighting the world on fire with great matches against the likes of Kenny Omega and Orange Cassidy. He had just formed the Death Triangle before the travel ban, and whenever he's able to return, it'll be treated as the biggest comeback since Tyga or Plexiglass. Number 3 is Cody, who has brilliantly pivoted away from never being able to challenge for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship and instead made the TNT Championship his own world title. AEW has done a good job building excitement around the concept, as anybody across various promotions could show up. This has helped the TNT title become a valuable ratings tool. As a face of AEW and its emotional leader, Cody is perfect in his role as gatekeeper of the Open Challenge. His match against Eddie Kingston was a stroke of brilliance, and each match tells a different story that all seem to be pointing to a Cody Rhodes heel turn, although he claims to not believe in that sort of thing. The top 2 may be splitting hairs a bit, but Chris Jericho ultimately comes in at the penultimate spot. Jericho has walked the walk as the Demo God and has been mostly dominant in head-to-head quarter hours against NXT. In the 10 months since AEW has been on the air, Jericho has reinvented himself twice, one as Le Champion and now again as the Demo God. The man is a savage. Coming in at number 1 is AEW World Heavyweight Champion Jon Moxley. If we're really splitting hairs here, Jon Moxley is the technical demo god, as he has been absent during almost all of AEW's head-to-head losses to NXT. Jon Moxley has been virtually unbeatable as a top babyface champion who's never made to look like a fool. It's a simple, time-honored booking pattern in pro wrestling that, when done correctly, comes with very powerful results. It's almost unfair to refer to Jon Moxley as a former WWE guy because he's a completely different person in AEW, where he doesn't have to play a lunatic. Of course, AEW shouldn't fall into a pattern where it's becoming WWE light and loses its own identity amid a sea of familiar faces in the pro wrestling carousel, but as long as it continues to put together coherent storylines with personalities that were dealt a bad hand in New York, it could exist as an even bigger alternative to the worldwide leader if it can reinvigorate the careers that creative had nothing for in WWE.